There is a story that Mary, not his mother, but the other Mary, if the story is true, goes to Jesus and says, how can I experience the kingdom of God? And Jesus removes his robe, is completely naked, and he masturbates, and he has an orgasm, and then he puts what is in his hand in his mouth, and he tells Mary, if you want to get to the kingdom of God, you must do as I have just done. And Mary passes out. First, seek the kingdom of God. The world is a den of thieves. Your physical body is a temple of sin and temptation. Jesus is not a sort of a man who falls victim to the things that you and I fall victim to. When you hear this story and other stories where he is most cruel from a very young age to people his own age, what happens to this image of the perfection of Jesus Christ? It gets broken, it gets shattered. All of a sudden you see him as a mere man. And that's a cruel thing to do to anyone. Why? Because all of us down here need someone to worship. It's great to read the dialogues of Plato. It's like a temple. It's great to pick up the Gospels and read the works of Jesus Christ. It gets you close to God. We have a saying in Persian, Gul bi aib khudast. If you want to find something that lacks imperfection, ugliness of any kind, it's only God. You can't find it down here. What does it mean to be a hypocrite? Do not be greedy. And then you come to my house. Then I tell you, I have 10 houses. I have a few million in a bank account. And then you ask me, why don't you feed the homeless? I don't really care for them. But a few days ago in class, you talked about compassion, generosity, understanding, empathy. And then you know what you're going to do, Waki? You're going to drop my class. And then you're going to go to your Facebook page and you're going to say, Amir Sabzavari, a hypocrite. Why? Because I disappointed you. You were looking for perfection. Someone without ugliness. And then you came to realize, I'm just a man. For those of you who like to read, there is a book that came out some years ago by C.S. Lewis, Screwtape Letters. It's about this young man who has this sort of a spiritual awakening and says, maybe I should go back to the church and be around religious people who have all this longing inside them, who are seekers after truth. And he goes to church with all these ridiculous assumptions in his mind. And then as he's sitting, listening to the sermon, the guy next to him is like, talking about money, another one is talking about sex, another talking about getting high, another talking about getting drunk. And the guy walks away saying, man, I thought these are really real Christians, but no, they're really hypocrites, you know. And so the point is, unfortunately, human beings live in two worlds, and these two worlds collide all the time. They live in conflict. You live in a world of ideas. There's truth in it, beauty in it, perfection in it. And there is this world of tables and chairs where you have to lie and you have to cheat and you have to self-deceive and other people deceive. You have to do things you don't want to do, but you have to do them nevertheless because you need to pay rent. Embrace the lion and the lamb within. Yes, you're truthful in some aspects of life, and you lie in others. We are hypocrites because we need to survive. It's not because we want to. But you have to be a hypocrite in a good way. Just come to class and say, I have read the dialogues of Plato. I can tell them to you in a very animated way, but please rest assured that I possess no wisdom. I've just read books. If you have marriage problems, don't come to me. If you're a seeker after truth, don't come to me. If you really want to be a philosopher, don't come to me. If you want to fall in love philosophically, and if you want to find wisdom philosophically, don't come to me. I'm just a good plagiarist. There was a time when I wanted to be like you. I wanted to become a Plato or a Socrates. I wasn't Moana. It wasn't inside me, man. I'm just a fake, and I'm okay with that. So are we good about hypocrisy? Good. Let's move on. Yes?
What's the best way to learn? What do you think is the best way? Make it or
I'm sorry?
like really to make or like something like this or to observe is the best way.
Chris, maybe put longing on pause for just a minute. What is the best way to learn? Do you like being single? The answer is no. I mean, sure, there's a time and a place for it, don't get me wrong. But as the sort of animals that we are, we don't like being single because being single ultimately means being alone. And if you're not alone in the sense that you're sitting in your room, reading books, writing books, thinking thoughts, then you're not really alone, you're just lonely. Okay? And if you don't know what to do with loneliness, soon you'll move into depression. And then, if you're not careful, it'll become chronic. And then, if that happens to you, you become undigestible to yourself and other people. You'll forever remain lonely. So, I go back to my question. Do you like to be single? The answer is no. Have you been in relationships? The answer is yes. How many? Let's just say 5. Have you been successful? The answer is no. Would you like to learn how to be in relationships? The answer is yes. But you see, you don't really know what you're asking. You can form the questions well, but you don't know what lies behind the question. My wife and I were having this conversation yesterday. I told her that I took the responsibility of having children, but I didn't know the responsibilities once the kids come out. These are 2 different things. I love kids, but kids are nomads. They're always on the move. And if you are self-involved, you better trash it. Kids don't really care who you are, what your agendas are in life. They want park. They want to wrestle. They want to break and destroy things. They want toys, and you better be on board. Do you want to be in a relationship? Absolutely. Who doesn't? But do you know what it comes with? You're dealing with a luggage that's being carried by someone you hardly know. And that suitcase, at some point, is going to be opened. And you probably are not going to like what you see. What are you going to do? Walk away? How many times are you going to go into relationships when the suitcase is opened and walk away? You're 18, you may be able to do that right now. At the age of 30? No. All you are, at the age of 30, is a collection of damage. So, do you want to be in a relationship? The answer is yes. Are you ready to learn? Well, you say, what does that mean? Can I just try it on my own? You say, well, you've tried it 5 times. And what has those 5 times given you? Memories. And those memories now become obstacles. Whenever you move into a relationship, you're very cautious, very frightened. You don't trust yourself. You're filled with doubt. What exactly do you want to go into a relationship for? You know what stands in front of you? You. You are your own obstacle, and you are your own obstacle because of the things you tried without really knowing. You had fun. You learned a few things. But the things you have learned now stand in the way of you becoming involved in a healthy relationship. And now you say you want to learn. Okay. Are you ready to be told you're wrong about everything? Of course not. Because the first deadly sin stands in your way. It's called pride. And the thing is, it's not enough for me to tell you you're wrong. I have to demonstrate it to you. And it can't be gentle. It never is. I don't have time to go back and forth with you for the next 5 years. It has to be quick. And we only have 2 weeks. It's going to be really, really difficult. Now, you have no idea if you're going to withstand the pressure or the assault. You may break. I may lose my job. Are you worth it? The answer is no. But imagine this is not an academic setting. I don't know if you've been to therapy or not, but if you have, you're there because you want to see things. And then you want to learn from the things that you see. But it's going to be very difficult because when you see things, emotions are going to come up. And you have no idea how you're going to deal with the emotions that come up. Slowly you have to learn from the emotions that come from seeing. And then you have to adjust. No one knows how long is that going to take. And then you have to apply the things you have learned. Now that is a different language. Now let me be a little politically incorrect. And this is not about anyone in this class in particular. Relationships, heterosexual relationships, have been challenged now for the past maybe 60 or so years. The things that used to work no longer work. The things that people used to believe in no longer they believe in. And this is just heterosexual. Now, if you begin to add stuff to it, like I am bisexual, I am trans, there is nothing wrong with any of those things, but these are just added components where not only must you deal with relationship, but you must also deal with this new component, being bisexual. Now, don't deceive yourself. It's great that people can live their authentic life right now as bi, trans, whatever you want to be, call yourself. But the truth is, there is a dominant culture out there. And though on a piece of paper it says everybody is welcome, small print, there's a good amount of discrimination. So it's going to take you a while to be okay with the fact that you are bi and you've come out, or you're gay that you've come out, or you're trans that you've come out. Okay? So those just add more complexities to the already very, very complicated scenario. Now, if someone says you've been in 5 relationships and they've all fallen, in essence, what I'm telling you is you can't trust yourself. You're blind. And what happens when a blind man starts walking? Well, they'll either get hit by a car or fall into a ditch. But you're not just blind, you're also deaf. Because you see your past, the past has messages for you, but you can't hear them. So you can't learn from them. So not only must someone give you eyes to see your past, but ears to hear the messages from your past. You can't do this on your own. Are you listening? No reason. Yeah. You know your language really, really well. It's the language of your history. It's the language of your past. It's the language of your experience. Now you come to me and you say, this is just hypothetical. And you say, I want to learn. You have to put everything you know on pause. You need to learn my culture. You need to learn my language. You need to learn my experience. There is almost a 40-year age difference between you and I. I don't have time for your BS. I don't care for your past. Your past will not work for me. I am a seller, you're a customer. I am not interested in your merchandise, but you need to be interested in mine if you want to learn. Now, because of this enormous gap between the two of us, I'm going to tell you things you're not going to understand, but I expect you to follow them. You didn't much understand about the stove. Your mom just said, crack the eggs. Where do I put them? In the pan. Now? Yeah. You understood nothing, yet you followed. And because your mom was a proficient cook, 10 minutes later you were at the table eating an omelet. This is no different. Allahu Akbar. Oh my God.
I think it's very like experience.
Now, what's going to happen when I tell you something is that, but before I'm even able to tell you something, you need to be attracted to me. There has to be something about you, intuitively speaking, that says to you, you know, he's on something. He knows something. I feel something. That attraction gets you to the tower building, near the elevator. You go up to the 4th floor. You knock on my door. I want to learn. You say, without really knowing what that means. That attraction creates a tiny, tiny, tiny ounce of trust. Now, you're still outside of my office. I say, please come in. Would you like some coffee? And you just sit there and all of a sudden a feeling comes over you. This is such a comfortable environment. And then all of a sudden your mouth opens and you say something. It's as you say, a secret you haven't shared with anyone in 20 years. And then you catch yourself. You're no longer intoxicated. You catch yourself. Say, I'm sorry. Thank you for coffee. I always remember I have an appointment with a counselor downstairs. I can't stay. The truth is, you have no appointment. You caught yourself. You're now embarrassed because you've told me something very, very, very revealing about yourself. And you have no idea how I look at you now, how I define you now. And you run out. You said what you said because of the ounce of trust. But then fright came over you and you ran away. You may drop the class. You may not drop the class, just never show up and get an F. We have no idea how it's going to come out. Or you may stay. Now I'm going to say a couple of more things to you, and you say, okay, you're going to leave. But you won't be able to do any of them. You want to understand, and your desire to understand creates longing. But it depends what exactly it is you want to understand. Because what you want to understand gives definition and quality to the nature of your longing. Some people have this longing to understand what water is. Some people have longing to go on the ocean and find it there like Moana. We don't know which type you are just yet. When someone like Chris says, can we talk about longing? He's not saying perhaps that I want to read Plato and I long to understand him. That's not a very difficult thing to do. But if his longing has to do with, I've read Plato, I've read Kafka, I've read Kierkegaard, has read Inayat Khan, and I long to have an experience of myself. Now that's something that's very, very, very difficult and complicated. Then as you come to the office more, your trust grows. But here's the thing you need to understand. Initially, when you want to understand something, you're guided and motivated by this force we call inspiration. But the Buddha is right. When you keep coming to my office, the inspiration, the excitement, the newness goes away. Now, if you're an emotional junkie, you say, well, I don't really feel like going there anymore. Then you'll stop coming and you'll stop learning. If on the other hand, you know how learning takes place, that you need to be disciplined, it has nothing to do with your feelings. It's like piano. You're not in the right place to feel, to play the piano, but you say, forget the feelings. I just need to keep practicing again and again and again and again until I become very, very proficient. It has nothing to do with your emotions. It's kind of like what Plato argued. That don't have your emotions ride you. You ride your emotions. But you have to ride your emotions with intelligence. Now you want to learn about relationships, let's just say. First, you need to read Karl Marx. I want a romantic relationship. The hell do I need to read Karl Marx for? The West. It's the cradle of advertisement. It's there to dupe you, exploit you, deceive you, con you. Capitalism has made people into what you'll find the Gospel of Mary. They just look like human beings. They're just not human beings. They look like them. It's like a mannequin. Now, you don't really want to have a relationship with a mannequin, do you? No, it's like a corpse. You want meaning, they can't give it to you. You want passion, they can't give it to you. You want stability, they can't give it to you. You can't be in a stable relationship with someone who's being consumed by the world of advertisement, created by capitalism. Why? Because you're constantly being blitzed by advertisement, which means what? You're one day good, next day bad. It's not even day, it's minute. You're up and down. You have no idea how you're going to be the next moment. You don't want to be with people like that, do you? No. But you're not yet ready for that kind of a relationship. First, we need to make sure what sort of advertisements live inside you. Now, that's going to be tough. I'm sorry?
What I give up or what I absorb?
It's both. You are what you eat. Now, you're not going to do that unless there's a great amount of longing inside you. You can't create this longing on your own. Someone needs to do it. You ever had a toothache? You know who you should thank? Chocolate. Lack of flossing, brushing, mouthwashing. All those different components come together to create cavity. That cavity hits the nerve, and then you cry, and then you can't sleep, and you can't have fun. And then you drag your sorry behind into a dentist office. Then you submit. Now that is how longing is created. Pain. You want longing? Find chocolate. Eat it every day. Don't floss. Don't brush. But you know what happens when you are forced to eat chocolate every day? There comes a point where you're no longer forced. It becomes an addiction. You want longing, become addicted to the right thing. Again, you can't do this on your own. You know why? You're a victim to one of the 7 deadly sins called sloth. You need a teacher who will remove pride, sloth, anger from you, so they can guide you.
Motivated enough, by themselves?
Oh, no. No, we've had a long history on this planet. Learning has always been difficult. I'm sorry? No, I'm a taker. I saw the movie. You need to watch the movie Moana again. Wisdom can only be learned once you're on the journey. You can't sit in your office, read books, write, and hope that wisdom is going to come to you. It doesn't work that way. She thinks that she can do the ocean. She can't. She thinks that she knows how to guide herself in the ocean. She can't. She thinks that she can do this on her own. She can't. She has all these wrong assumptions about herself, the ocean, the various deities. The ocean proves her wrong. And you only learn by being on the journey. You want to learn about relationships, you need to be placed on a journey where your boat will sink. Isn't that true? Of course. Well, keep in mind at 11 today, the great Persian Empire. is going to face, the great Satan. David and Goliath, today at 11 o'clock. Just joking. Have a nice day, people. Thank you.